Good evening and welcome to today's news bulletin. I'm Zandile Mpapane, recapping stories making headlines. After being briefed by different organizations following the protests that happened in the kingdom, the SADC Special Envoy met with His Majesty King Yemaswati III. The SADC Special Envoy today met with different organizations that were affected and who were part of the protests that happened in the kingdom. There was a huge fight today at Sikombeni after a bitter exchange of words between two families. The SADC Special Envoy today met with a different organization at the Royal Villas Hotel in ESWATINI. This was a message from the National Disaster Management Agency in collaboration with the Ministry of Health in the Kingdom of Eswatini. It is all about encouraging Yemaswati to adhere to COVID-19, and it is founded by UNICEF. We shall get back to our news bulletin. After being briefed by different organizations following the protests that happened in the kingdom, the SADC Special Envoy met with His Majesty King Yemaswati III this evening.
The special envoy from the SADC Troika, sent by President Cyril Ramaphosa as the chairman of the SADC Troika organ, today paid courtesy to His Majesty King Yemaswati III at the Lozita Royal Palace, where they continued to have engagement with His Majesty regarding the issues that were unfolding in the country, following that the country have been experiencing the political instability. After their arrival, the special envoy had a meeting with different sectors where they are expected to deliver a report to the SADC Troika organ. Reporting for Channel Yemaswati News, I'm Dinda Shongwe with Kimberly Mavuso, Lozita Royal residents.
The SADC Special Envoy today met with a different organization at the Royal Villas Hotel in ESWATINI, where they were briefed about the recent protests in the kingdom. We have a report.
Today, the SADC organ is sent by the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, and his capacity as the chairperson of the Southern African Development Community organ is currently in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and they met with various stakeholders in the Kingdom of Eswatini, whereby they were deliberating on the ongoing political unrest. We conducted an interview with the Special Envoy, His Excellency Jeff Khatebe, who stated that they met with the civil society, amongst other public service associations, as well as church bodies in the Kingdom of Eswatini, to deliberate on how they see a solution to the current ongoing unrest.
SADC organ of politics, security and defense, because of the deteriorating political situation here in the Kingdom of Eswatini. So right now we've just finished meeting the diplomatic corps that are accredited to the Kingdom of Eswatini, and now recently we met all the stakeholders that represent the cross-section of Eswatini community, so that we can hear their views and what suggestions they make in order to ensure that we can be able to stabilize the situation.
We also conducted an interview with the Secretary General of the National Association of Teachers, Mrs. Sigelela Dlamini, who stated that as their association, they made the same presentations as the last time when the SADC Troika organ was here in the Kingdom of Eswatini in July.
But fortunately enough, we're able to then say this meeting is not the first one, as everybody knows. What happened is that this is the second meeting following from the July session that was also held here. And then what we submitted was that the points that we submitted in the other meeting, they are still relevant and they've got to be taken into consideration. But what we only did as Labour was actually to bring the aspect in trying to contextualize the need to expedite the processes. So
at the time of compiling the report, the special envoys were still going to meet with the cabinet to discuss further. I'm Kanyesile Mabuza for Channel Yemaswati News with Sandile Mpapane, Ezulwini.
The Council of Eswatini Churches today in Mbabane held a press conference whereby they stated that only dialogue can solve the situation that is happening in the kingdom. We have a report.
The current The Council of Churches today held a press conference whereby they were addressing the current unrest in the Kingdom of Eswatini. They stated that it is not biblical for any protest to end in violence because it also not only disturbs progress, but it also vandalizes properties and also deprives children of their rights to education. Reverend Begindlela Magongo, who is the chairperson of the Council of Churches, stated that it is important to advocate for a dialogue in the Kingdom of Eswatini because it is the only way that is going to resolve matters in a peaceful and safe way.
We have all seen and are running short of the glory of God. Yes, this certainly is not the time to be disrespecting and calling each other names, but it is a time to unite. It is a time for sanity to prevail. It is a time to calm down and stop the violence. We are not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities. These evil principalities are enjoying it when we are divided.
He concluded by stating that the Council is still going to continue supporting dialogue and peaceful deliberations in the Kingdom of Eswatini so to ascertain a common goal. I'm Kanyisile Mabuza for Channel Yemaswati News with Sandile Mpapane in Babane.
It was a joyous occasion today for Manzini residents following the fact that today Pick and Pay clothing was officially opened at the hub in Manzini. We have a report.
Manzini. Pick and Pay Clothing was officially opened today at the hub in Manzini. Pick and Pay Clothing will be selling customers' clothes. Customers seem to be excited about the new store because as soon as it was opened in the morning, they went inside for shopping. The Assistant Regional Manager at Pick and Pay Lojef, Mr. Sedilo, stated that there will be more Pick and Pay clothing shops that will be opened in the kingdom.
Singabonga ama-shareholders akaloja Pick and Pay la ende ukuthi le store sibeyivumile sizibone ukuthi basifande nangathi imali zosizwe.
Nisembisane eMaswatini.
eMaswatini sithembisa kwanikela ama-price la kahle siphinde ne-service yethu ibe mlehle.
We'd like to thank the staff of Lojef Clothing for giving us the hard work through over these past couple of days. We'd also like to thank the shareholders of Lojef for making this possible for us to open our second new store.
Reporting for Yemaswati channel, I am Nohlatla Twala with Justice Dlamini in Manzini.
Following a story that was aired yesterday by our channel whereby we reported that there was a shortage of petrol, especially in Babane town, today our reporters did a follow-up story where it was noted that petrol was now available in most of the filling stations around Babane town. We have a report. Following a story which was aired on our channel yesterday whereby our reporters noted that there was a petrol shortage, especially in Babane town, our reporters today did a follow-up story on petrol. It was noted that most of the filling stations in the town had petrol. We noticed that petrol filling stations, which includes Galp, Total and Engine, were filling up cars with petrol. We then conducted an interview with one petrol attendant who stated that petrol arrived in the evening yesterday. He mentioned, however, that there is limited petrol, but clarified that they do not limit motorists on as to how much petrol they should put in their cars.
Okay. Yeah, it's a third man. I'm getting a camera. I'm getting a camera. I'm getting an opportunity. I'm going to allow me to present on my car. 7 la Galp filling station. Petrol figure little in Zambama. Although smart to go to Taslas, Castless and Gananda Locon. Abana now available. As it's a safe and a man, we go to the Banya filling station petrol so pay.
He encouraged Yemaswati to come to Mbabane town as he assured them that they will get the petrol that they need for their cars. I am Zandile Mpapane for Channel Yemaswati News, Mbabane.
Mani. Mani, khumbula kutsi kuchawulana nekutsintsana ungathelelana i-COVID-19. Caphela, khumbula kutsi kubambelana sinatfwa engilasini yinye nako kungathelelana i-COVID-19. Ungachubeki, khumbula kuvikela labaseceleni kwakho ngekutsimlela ingosela. Bagcini besive, asente kuhamba ngemigomo ekuvikela i-COVID-19. Indlela lensha yetfu sonke ekuphila, kute sitigcine siphephile, kanye nesive sonke, asikhumbutane njalo ngalesikutshelwa litiko letemphilo nge-COVID-19. Asikwende konke, gcoka sifonyo, geza tandla ngensipho nemanti lahambako, gcina umkhatsi, uphindze ugweme ticubu. Mgcini wesive, ungapheli mandla, i-COVID ingakapheli.
Do it all from the palm of your hand with the Eswatini Ministry of Health Alert app. You can get access to the app by getting the link from the Eswatini Ministry of Health social media pages and by scanning the QR code found on posters. Use the WhatsApp number 79436585 and send hi. Then, following the prompts, you can get to register for your COVID-19 jab. Get the latest updates on COVID-19 and even get access to a healthcare professional. There's so much more at your fingertips with the Eswatini Ministry of Health. Do it all. Vaccinate, wash your hands, and wear a mask.
One, two, three, bola. Baze baphela buhlungu bami bengingatholi banibani. Mhle senginami ngixoxa naye, ngidala naye. Manje ngiyayibonga nahlelo lwaka-foster care program. Lolwangilethela wena mfana wami. Namhla senginalo nami luthundulo lwami lwakusasa. Sengiyazi ukuthi sekukhona umuntu engihlala naye lesixoxa naye.
Bantwa bethu foster care help raise the future bethembethile.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in at Yemaswati channel. I am Zandile Mpapane. We shall get back to our news bulletin. Public transport is now operating in Mbabane. This was witnessed by our reporters today. We have a report. It was business as usual today in Mbabane bus rank as our reporters noted that public transport was available. Public transport operators were on strike since last week. Our reporters conducted an interview with the marshal in Mbabane bus rank who stated that they are operating normally today. He mentioned that they started operating yesterday as Kumbis who use the Mbulonjeni Mbabane route were carrying commuters to and from their areas.
Siyasebenza nje kahle namhla mnanzi amaswathi ngaqinisekisa nje ukuthi akethe edolobheni ato supporta nanathi sine bemakhulu lokungangena lekungangena nje iqala itolo tabang3 lambulo nje intimoto iqala itolo tabang3 ta7 itolo.
Worth noting is the fact that the business was interrupted the whole week in Eswatini in different as transport operators were on strike. Part of their grievances is salary review and their working conditions. After engaging with a few government officials, it was resolved that the public transport operators should go back to work. They made this decision yesterday. I am Zandile Mpapane for Channel Yemaswati News with Gary Carlos, Mbabane. A man who is suspected to have raped a resident at Gakoza under the Manzini region was brutally assaulted by a mob in that area. We have a report.
Madlenkosi Sangweni of Gakoza was accused of sexually abusing 2 children. It is stated that some of the residents of Gakoza, they beat him after suspecting he was a rapist. He was then taken to the police and there was no evidence. We spoke to Madlenkosi Sangweni, who stated he did not do what he was accused of and would not do such. He voiced out his disappointments for being beaten for something he did not do.
Bangana. Bakusolelani yini lokho kuthiwa sibakusola?
Lokusibe bangisukuza abantwana vele bavuma kuhlala lapha ke imbadla khona. Nakambe. Kunethethe labo mangoza. Nakuvutwa nje bomangoza ngabe babona kucala ukuthi mangoza ovuthiwe.
Bayithatha bona lenzaba.
Angibazi bayithatha lenzaba.
No, abafikile labantu bato ukutshela ukuthi ngathi lo mandla ngathi kuthiwa ulele nalabantwana. So ke ngabatshela ngathi hayi ningamshayi ke nangabe seyifikile la kithi sitawubikela amaphoyisa kube ngiwo lata ayisebenta lenzaba. So ke sifikile ke itolo ke vele ke sayisebenta lenzaba ngabathinza ke amaphoyisa. Bona ke javele balithinza thinzile. Kodwa ke setho phela ngibona lokho esuyabona ukuthi wona wonile wendeni utelo nelungelo bese suyathinza.
Ukhululeke nje ngekubonakala ukuthi udelicala.
Cha nje vele usho ebusuku bonke lapho uyile namaphoyisa ebusuku sekangibita tongitshela labo labathi labantwana ulelela abantu ababo. Bato sitshela ukuthi hey namaphepha dokotela lathi uthi dokotela kude lokwendekile lapho labantwana. So bona bangamaphoyisa ababoni ukuthi likhona licala bangalibeka.
Lesitolo sase Pick and Pay Clothing sivuliwe ke namhla kaManzini eHub kanti regional manager Pick and Pay Lojaf lekunguye ke umnumzane Sedilo uchazile ukuthi kukhona ke letinye ke.
There was a bitter exchange of words today between two families at Sikombeni under the Manzini region following a prolonged land dispute. We have a report.
This occurred at Sikombeni, whereby family members did not see eye to eye, such that this has resulted in a serious quarrel and exchange of bitter words in the family. After the father of the home passed away, one of his sons and his wife were left at the home, and the ladies at the home claimed that their sister-in-law does not want anyone entering the home, even the traditional daughter who happens to be a daughter to one of the ladies.
Ibantwana balo babelo washona asisafunakali lakhaya. Asathi ukuthi ngazizathu sini. Kunemfana lwelama mina nje. Nguye lasahonqa nalelikhaya kusilekhaya leli selakhe. Ukakhe lakhaya la kanti but akusiko phela kakhe sekhaya kithi la. Kuhamba ke Nkosi ke sekwethasana ngumfana ke. Wami lo
shothi kwahlangana la ngiyabona kwakunjuni kwabanana ngumfana wahamba ke waya ekwethwaseni ungumshana akakadalelwa lakhaya sikoni wahamba lakhaya uhamba kwakhe mkhulu angakashoni wahlangana lo mndeni wathi uyawakhokha emantombazana ngoba bekashaya nangisisi nje lo tako walobhuti lo waphinde washaya lo lapha endasi wasuthi ke mkhulu abalungi ukuhlala la ngekhathi ucela ukuthi baphume ngoba batawushaya labafati lakha wabakhontela lapho wanakuya nje laba bekwakhona lamantombazana lapha ngephandle kwaleli gate bekuthi ke thukuthuku so yachamuka uthi manje na umfana sowetfese ucela ukuthi umphahlele uthi ke babe mina angiphahli ngiyakhola
Seva gogo la ungathi unetinkinga leti khona la khaya. Lidlodile kungena nini gogo?
Joza gogo lidlodile ngena kulo mnyaka lophelile. Then bangitshana basesondweni ukuthi ke nginamandla. Fika isikhathi lapho ngithatha khona. Lihamba lo ngithwasisa mangaya netusini. Lapho shaya. Sisa. Then ngingathasa. Sekhaya namalume nje kuneletinkinga nami sotsha bambikela bathi ke qobela wami akalibude edlozi ukuthi ke lifunani futhi lengubani balibuda qobela lasho ukuthi ke lingumphenguli ngiyawusendlovu.
Reporting for Yemaswati channel, I am Nonhlanhla with Justice Lamini at Sikombeni.
The whole business community today expressed their gratitude following the fact that it is now business as usual in Mbabane town. They mentioned that the public transport operators' strike had a negative impact in their businesses. As business returned to normal today in Mbabane bus rank following the fact that public transport operators started working as of yesterday, our reporters today conducted an interview with chairman of Hoho business people who expressed their excitement about the latest development.
Siphazamisekile kakhulu letinkinga letikhona event but ke siyabona namuhla emakhumbi akhona ngoba ukhaza sibantu lebasebenzako basakhona ukufika la etitolo even emahhovisi kahulumende kude umuntu bekakhona base kuyasicedzela ke lokuba down kwe-internet ngoba noma ngafuna idocument kahulumende bongayithola ngalokho kude bekusebenza vele sifana nathi nje lonke leli viki besivalile but ke siyabonga ukuthi ke kukhona la sibona sekubhunya khona so sibuyela kuko lokho ukuthi liqiniso vele likhambi litawuvela masikhulumisana singemaswati sibonge ukuthi ke noma kukhona lemishudo lekhona.
They mentioned that their business was negatively affected by the fact that there was a strike and people could not get in and out of Mbabane town. Mr. Johannes Manigela stated that although business is picking up, they still lack in terms of their debts, further mentioning that they are grateful that the fund that will benefit business people who were affected by the recent unrest was launched.
Indlala itasilimata bekunene solo sicela lokho nje siyibhizinisi ukuthi noma ngasithukuthele kwana asingayibulali imisebenzi ngoba imisebenzi iyingcenye yokuphila kwethu sithi sikhuluma lokho sikhulumayo imisebenzi ikhona siyabona ke netikhwama kuyadisukumisa uhulumende sivile ukuthi umhlonishwa minister we-commerce lesikhwama lesibesolo kukhulunywa ngaso sesitawuqala kusebenza.
He concluded by urging the government to assist business people, including those whose businesses were not vandalized during the unrest, as he mentioned that the fact that there was an unrest in the kingdom, their business was negatively affected. I am Zandile Mpapane for Channel Yemaswati News with Gary Carlos Mbabane. In a rather confusing incident, a black Pajero was involved in an accident today at Makolokolo under the Hoho region. When our reporters arrived at the scene, the driver was nowhere to be found. We have a report. Black Pajero was involved in an accident today at Makolokolo under the Hoho region. This was rather a strange accident as when our reporters arrived at the accident scene, before the Royal ESWATINI police service, the driver was nowhere to be found. Members of the police arrived minutes later, however, and they also confirmed that they do not know where the driver is. We conducted an interview with Constable 5409 Togozani Matonsela, who stated that the police will conduct a formal investigation about the accident.
Kwendekile la sisesemsebenzini sithola ireport 2999 ukuthi sekuyimoto la esitashini nawujakela phela emgogweni sase sisukumela etulo ke sifika khona enhlanhla lembi sikhanze imoto yodwa but nje le ndlela sibuka ngayo imoto sisola ukuthi maybe afike kuqala belisito lokuqala bamthatha bammethe esibhedlela. Sikubuka konke la ngoba lo mgwaqo ulijika libukeka lilihle kona akasilibi but nangabe sewahamba kakhulu ngisola kusilo mshayeli ohlulekile ukuthi ahambe ngelitubane kade awukhona kulawula imoto yakhe. kwaze kwafika la kuthiwa iseyiyawa khona ngoba na uyibuka vele ilimele yonke lenzayo lekusho ukuthi sidawuthi i-overturning. Sesingacela nje bashayele ukuthi noma ngabe simo sikahle phela sishayele ngalitubane lelitsawukhona ukuthi noma ngabe sekuvelane lo.
He concluded, however, by urging drivers to drive as cautious as they can and limit their speed to avoid accidents. I am Zandile Mpapane for Channel Yemaswati News with Gary Carlos, Makolokolo. What are all the news we had for tonight? But before ending tonight's bulletin, let's take a recap of the stories which made headlines. After being briefed by organizations, the SADC Special Envoy today met with His Majesty King Yemaswati III. The SADC Special Envoy today met with organization at the Royal Villas Hotel in ESWATINI following the protest that has been happening in the kingdom. There was a bitter exchange of words between two families at Sikombeni under the Manzini region. Well, that's all the news we had for tonight. Do have yourselves a beautiful evening. Good night.